Alright, we're back with another beta kit analysis. Now you're here with Yunli. And let's see what she does. We already talked about Jiao Chu and March 7th beta kit before. And now let's take a look what Yunli is capable of doing. And first, let's just read all of her kit. We'll go to traces a bit later as usual. First is her skill. Basic attack Gale Spin Somersault. Deals physical damage equal to 50% up to 130% of units attacked with a single enemy. Her skill Bloodborne Quake. Restore HP equal to 20% up to 35% of units attack plus 50 up to 256. And deals physical damage equal to 60% up to 150% of units attacked to a single enemy, and physical damage equal to 30% up to 75% of unit attacks to enemies adjacent to it. And her ultimate, Earthbind or Ether Break, costs 120 energy. Consume 120 energy, Yunli gains block and taunts all enemies, lasting until the next turn of an allied or enemy unit. While block is active, Yunli's crit damage increased by 60%, up to 120% at max level. When the counter talent effect, so this is a typo here, I think the first one, when the counter talent's effect is triggered while block is active, it will switch to counter intuit call effect, and also deal spell block. But if the counters are not triggered while block is active, when the effect ends, Yunli will immediately launch a counter intuit slash effect on a random enemy target. When an intuit slash is inflicted, it will cause the next intuit slash to become intuit call. So what does each of this intuit means? First intuit slash. Deal physical damage to the target equal to 144% up to 288% of Yunli's attack, and deals physical damage to adjacent target equal to 72% up to 144% of Yunli's attack. Intuit call deals physical damage to the target equal to 144% up to 288% of Yunli's attack, and deals physical damage to adjacent target equal to 72% up to 144% of Yunli's attack. And then additionally deals 6 hits of damage. Every hit of damage deals physical damage equal to 48% up to 96% of Yunli attacks to a random single enemy target. When Yunli deals damage through this ability, it will be viewed as ultimate damage. It's a bit mouthful, isn't it? Then let's look at her talent first. Talent Flash Forge. When Yunli is attacked by enemy target, immediately launches a counter attack on the attacker, dealing physical damage equal to 60% up to 150% of Yunli's attack, and physical damage to adjacent target equal to 30% up to 75% of Yunli's attack. And her technique, Posterior Precedence. Gains the ward effect for 15 seconds. When entering combat by attacking enemies or receiving an attack, immediately inflicts intuit call on random enemy target and increases the attack damage by 80%. And then lastly, let's look at her stats. HP, attack, defense, speed, taunt, and this is her essential materials. I will put the image of the materials to help you guys to know which items you might want to farm later. And then let's look at her Eidolons. First one, Weather Blade Does Not Sully. Damage from Intuit Slash and Intuit Call increased by 20%, and Intuit Call's extra damage hits increased by 3. Second Eidolon, First Luster's Breaks Dawn. Yunli increases her own crit rate by 18% at the end of the turn, lasting until the beginning of the next turn. Second one is Artisan Iron Song. The fourth Eidolon is Artisan Iron Song. When Yunli deals damage via launching and counter, it ignores 20% of target's defense. And lastly, her E6, Walk-in Blade, Talk-in Zither. After using ultimate, if the next unit to act is an enemy unit, Intuit Call will be triggered regardless of whether it's targeting Yunli. And the block effect provided by the ultimate will not be dispelled and will last until the end of the next turn. This effect can only be triggered once per turn. So that's all for kits. Let's take a look what it does. At first glance, this is pretty much like Clara, but is it better than Clara? I think it's more complicated than that. I think in order for her to trigger her counter, it has to hit herself unless you actually have Eidolons. think Eidolon 6, right? Yes. So, but with Yunli, you can only trigger the counter if she gets hit, while Clara, when her ult is activated, anybody that got hit will trigger Clara's counter. So Clara might be a bit easier to use, and Yunli might be a bit more demanding with the setups. This is my first impression. And with her kit, at least with her, when she got attacked, she will always hit at least 3 enemies, which is pretty good. While Clara will require you to actually get hit during ultimate, right? I don't think she is like a replacement for Clara. It's the matter up to taste. Maybe even put her together with Clara, since during Clara's ultimate, if Yunli gets hit, Yunli will activate her counter, and Clara will also activate her counter. So I can see all kinds of crazy shenanigans that are happening between these two. But her kit is not all that crazy though. Like her basic attack is just a basic attack, nothing too crazy, and her attack, at least her skill is very good. Now she's able to self-sustain herself, unlike Clara, so that sometimes you might want to bring a healer. But with Yunli, she kind of like semi-sustain herself. In Pure Fiction, I think it's possible to just bring Yunli and 3 other supports, or like other even like DPS, and Yunli will be yours only sustain. It is possible, it is risky, but I think it can be done. Yeah, and at least her skill is just like other destruction unit, hitting 3 enemies, pretty good. But her ultimate is a bit more, I would say, like mouthful. It's not that easy to understood the first time. It's good that her ultimate has a lot of crit damage boost, which is like 60% crit damage up to 120% crit damage. It's quite a bit. It's quite a bit at max level. And you might want to just bring, I don't know, like boost her crit rate, I suppose. Crit rate body, and a little bit of speed, that's for sure, because her speed is just very slow. Yeah, her speed is just very slow, 94. You might want to get her, I don't know, that fast, but at least like reach the next threshold, so at least she can sustain herself a little bit more consistently. At least that's what I thought. We will have to see until we see playtest, honestly. So basically with her counter, that the moment she uses her ultimate, there are 2 scenarios. For sure, she will enter the battle, the stance, but and also she will taunt all enemies. But what really confused me is that lasting until the next turn of an ally or enemy unit. So basically, it's like towards the end of their turn or like the beginning of their turn, right? If it's the beginning of their turn, it makes no sense. The moment the enemy takes turn, it's just like the ultimate finish. So I will assume that the next person that does it, the next person who takes turn will determine what will she does. So if the enemy end up taking turns after Yunli, that means Yunli will activate the Intuit Call that will damage to the attacker and also deal damage to the adjacent units, and then deal 6 damage to random enemies. That's a lot of damage. I think it's a lot of the counter is very powerful, but it's quite restrictive on what it can do. So, but if the ally that end up taking turn after her, she will only activate the Intuit Slash. That will only deal the damage and to the adjacent enemy, without the bonus of 6 additional hits on the enemy. But what's good is that at least if the first time you didn't trigger an Intuit Call, the next time you also fail to trigger Intuit Call, it will immediately, instead of doing Intuit Slash, it will immediately does Intuit Call. So pretty much it's a safe mechanics. If you didn't manage to get it first time, you will get it on the second time for sure. It's pretty neat character. but I don't know how fun to use her because like seems like there's quite a little bit of setup because you might want to always activate Intuit Call because it's more efficient that way. That means you need to speed tune that Yunli has to be always the slowest in your team. And you might not want to bring someone like Bronya or Sparkle that can or even like Robin that can fast forward your allies because you want to get hit to activate Intuit Call to get more damage. Yeah, her kits might be requires a lot of setup, but it's quite straightforward once you actually understand how it works. And then let's look at her technique. Her technique, I think it's very important to activate her technique because she will activate Intuit Call regardless. So it's very strong technique, I would say. She can be very good like an opener. I almost forgot, let's look at her trace. The first trace is good, more energy if she gets hit, and she wants to get hit, so that's the very fast way to actually activate her counter. The second trace, while in block state, resist crowd control debuff. That means it's alright, but you won't stay in block state for too long. So it's just that the first time you get hit, you won't fail to activate the counter basically. It's pretty alright. The last one is very straightforward as well. Using counter, increase Yunli attack by 30% for one turn. It's quite a little bit of attack, which is pretty what she wants. It's quite straightforward, not too complicated. But her Eidolons, let's look at them. The first Eidolon is just more damage, but the extra damage of having 3 extra hits might be very strong because we have 6 hits, and then you can have 9 hits. That might be very good. I don't know how much toughness damage this will do though. Yeah, if this also deals toughness damage, it can be very powerful. If you bring her with boot heal even. And then, I don't know how good that would be. Her second Eidolon, it just extra crit rate. So, this basically more crit rate when she activates her ultimate until she actually starts going again. So, her counter chance to activate crits is actually always higher. And the fourth one is just ignores 20% target's defense. It's very straightforward. And the last one, after using ultimate, if the next unit into the call will be triggered goes. Oh yeah, so basically the last one, because in order for her to activate ultimate Intuit Call, she needs to get hit. But she does have taunt, but I don't think it's a guaranteed taunt, right? Yeah, because it doesn't say it's guaranteed to activate, so there's a chance that enemy will actually resist the taunt. So with her E6, Intuit Call will always be activated regardless whether she gets hit or not, or someone else gets hit, until the end of the next turn. So until the end of her turn. So I think that is much better. It makes her to stay. Oh yeah, it's actually so much better. Her E6 will make her to become a non-stop counter monster. Because after one counter, her ultimate ends. But with E6, she will stay like that for a long time. And that can be an incentive to actually have her at very low speed. That way, every time she gets hit, she's just gonna keeps countering. Make sure the enemy is faster than you. So her E6 is very powerful, but the rest of her Eidolons are it's alright, very straightforward. So that's all of the things that I can say about Yunli. There's nothing much to analyze. It's very straightforward. And before I close, let's look at her light cones. This is her art, very cute. And let's look what it does. It really increases the odds that wearer will be attacked, increase wearer's crit damage by 36%. After the wearer uses their ultimate, there's this 1 stack of fire dance lasting 2 turns and up to 2 stacks. Each stack of fire dance increases damage to the wearer follow-up attack by 36%. So this is very tuned for her. I think Clara can also benefits from this. This just makes her deal a lot more damage, and that's pretty much it basically, and make her to become have maybe very high aggro points, and that's all. Anyway, that's all I got to say about Yunli. What do you think about her? Do you think she will replace Clara, or she be work very well alongside Clara? I personally really would like to test what she does, and I'm really looking forward to see what kind of crazy shenanigans that we can see from her. Anyway, thanks for watching. Until the next video, stay sharp, gamers.
Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe!